Thank you for taking this moment to breathe and to listen to what can change your life forever. My name is Ragnar Zinikas, and I'm the founder of Starpreneurs TV, How to Dominate the Decade talk show, World Women Conference and Awards, and the creator of Coral Desk. My mission is to empower through education. And thank you for investing in your future and in yourself by taking the time today. Today, we have the honor to talk with Noah Greg MacArthur, and he's a financial literacy expert, and he has defined conversation to rise to extraordinary heights and to wield potent financial influence. So who he is, the biography is just amazing, but I don't want to take the mystique out of it, and I will present Noah now to you. So Noah, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time. Tell us who is Noah and why Noah is doing what he's doing now.
I first of all start by saying I love the fact dominate the decade. When this year kicked off, I kicked off this year with a hashtag Decade of Redemption. So I thought it was, not by coincidence that we're talking about how to dominate a decade when there's a whole decade of redemption that should take place. But Noah, my name is Noah. So my birth name is Noah. Noah is an ecumenical name. The name Noah, biblically, can be male or female. In the book of Ezra in the Bible, the king had no sons. He named his daughter Noah. The acronym for Noah is there's a masculine and feminine side to the brand and the Noah itself. And the feminine side is nothing ordinary about her. The masculine side is nothing ordinary about him. So to me, that's something extraordinary. But to you and everyone else, it's extraordinary in all of us. So what sets me apart is I not only live by the birth name, Noah, I live to have extraordinary experiences every day.
That's a very beautiful answer. And nobody has really given that type of answer to me before. So what would you say, what is your passion and purpose in life?
Well, my greatest passion is, as a family man, just to be the best dad in the world. Got 3 wonderful children, got 3 beautiful grandchildren, got 2 son-in-laws. And I really just strive to be the best man as a father. That's first and foremost. My grandkids call me Big. So it's an acronym, believe in God. So I believe in God. I believe he is the centrifugal force. He's the gravitational pull of everything I do. So that's number one. My passions are just helping individuals really experience an extraordinary life. Life has a tendency to throw all kind of curveballs, and you can live devastation every moment. You can experience catastrophe, and I've had some, but at some level, the decision has to be made. I'm either going to live an extraordinary life, or I'm going to let every extraordinary experience pass me by. So my passion is just to help individuals experience that, but then to teach them. I'm a hands-on kind of guy, so I can tell you, but I want to show you. So I'm that guy. I show you how it's done. I don't do a whole lot of talking. Watch me and listen, and I'll show you how it's done.
Wow. Well, let's take it deeper. So how would you say, how do you distinguish yourself and especially in business? Because I know the whole trajectory which you have in finance and really teaching or educating people in it, it's huge. So tell us more about that.
What honestly distinguishes me, Ragnar, is I get it done. And not only do I get it done, I show others how to get it done. I listen. I've shared with individuals in practically every area of my life. I've got a coach. I've got a coach. I believe the best coaches have good coaches because, you're only as good as the last performance. As a former professional athlete in boxing, I remember my manager tell me all the time, he said, now, professor, you're as good as your last fight, but that's not the last fight. So at some point, we have to know that we are as good as the education, we are as good as the execution, and we are as good as the extremities that we are attached to. So if there's something that would distinguish me is I show you how it's done. Prime example, about 3.5 years ago, I got involved with Congress as the move for financial literacy was really taking off. I've been in that arena for about 22 years. At the request and suggestion of John Hope Bryant, who's the founder of Hope Foundation, I got involved, and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed. And now in about 15 states, before a senior graduates high school, that senior now has to take a financial literacy course. Last year, I was in Alcoa, Tennessee. When I left in June of last year, the next week, they went ahead and put a high school, they put a bank inside of a high school. So my quest is to get it done, and I want to show you. So I sit down, I show them how it's done, and we walk together, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because as good as it sounds at the end when the results are in and everybody's high-fiving and, hey, good job, there's some trenches, you know, there's some low moments. You know, there's some, you know, hey, that's some bumping of heads and clashing of personalities because you have to get it done. And that's what distinguishes me from everyone else. I'm the guy, I'm gonna show you how it's done. No excuses, just results. There's no time for excuses. We got to get it done.
That's beautiful. So whoever you're watching, if you do not have your paper pen still or your notebook open, then I would suggest you to do so now, because we are going now practical. And now share with us, what are the most important principles when it comes to financial planning?
One of the first principles to financial planning is management. You know, there's a management in time and a management in money, and you have to know how to manage your time. You manage your time the way you manage your money. Many individuals miss the correlation. There's a great correlation between money and time, and how we spend our time is going to correlate how we manage or mismanage our money. If we misuse our time, it's going to be a correlation to how we misuse and misrepresent our time. There's a distinct correlation there. And if I had to give it to us, I'd tell us there's a biblical scenario, there's a higher power that helps individuals correlate time and money. So the first principle is management. You have to manage better. When you manage your time, you manage your understanding, you manage your wisdom, you manage your education level. Despite how educated you are in matters that are mathematical or not, the better you manage, the better you start to manage your time. Then budgeting. We started over a year ago, How to Be a Financial Avenger. Remember when the movie came out, Avengers was a big thing. So we share with individuals, you know, you can be an avenger of your financial equation. And one of the ways you do that is you have to know that your domain, your home, your family, your business, your finances, your future, that's your domain, that's your universe. You have to be the avenger and protect it. The way you protect it, you protect it by managing and budgeting. Every top has a bottom. Every top has a bottom. So you do your level best to keep the top from the bottom, meaning everything in the middle. It takes effort. It takes exercise. And sometimes it takes some excessive force to kind of get it done. So from your management to your budgeting, now you start to better appreciate your spending and your saving. Because between spending and saving, those principles are going to help you start to get better. You know, then you start to look at your income. You take into consideration what you have, what you don't have. If you're not going to die without it, you don't need it. So it goes back to that management, goes back to that budgeting and your spending and saving. Then comes the earning. So I believe those are the most succinct principles, because then it starts to tie into everything else with financial literacy, from how you pay your bills to how you utilize your credit, or whether you use cash or credit. You know, they love to say cash is king. Cash is king until you got to go finance a vehicle. Cash is king until you have to, you know, go finance a building. Yeah. So I believe those principles are the most designated principles.
You have been in business for a long time. So what are the greatest lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur?
One of the greatest lessons I've learned, I learn them every day. And that is, you never stop learning. You never stop learning. I think one lesson I've learned is there's some costly lessons, and you can't afford many of those. So the way you learn from those are you learn to be calculative. You calculate better. You collaborate more effectively. It's like anything else, you know. It's kind of like being the president of the United States. You never have experience being a president until you're president. You have no experience of being a business owner until you're a business owner. You get all the theory, you go to all the classes, you can take all the courses, but until you are a business owner, then you start learning just how much you did not know about business. So I think that's one of the greatest lessons I've learned. And the greatest lessons I've learned is you never stop learning, because there's something new in every corridor of business. Now, there may be different genres of business, but business itself is the same across the board. And that is, you never stop learning. You have to continue to invest in you, and you have to invest in those who are closest to you. So that means you have to be a respecter of relationships. You know, when you know that there are people you're depending on, that's not the time to throw your CEO around. That's the time to get to know those who are around.
Beautiful. I think that as you are a family guy, then there's so many similarities with becoming the parent and the entrepreneurship. No, you literally learn something new every day.
Every day, you know. At some point, you learn how to police. And then there are other times you learn how to pastor, you learn how to preach, you learn how to make peace, you learn how to perform. Yes, there's a great correlation there. It really is. It never stops.
You have published articles and also materials designed to catapult strategic moves in the world of finance. Tell us more about that.
I think the first article I published, it was in the 100 most influencers of the industry, and I was the top one in the industry in finance. And one of the things that they asked me was a similar question, and they asked me, well, what makes the difference between someone who is wanting to get to the next level and someone who says he just doesn't have it? Well, this is my scenario. It's just like a horse being born. When a horse is born, they have a tendency to learn to walk, and they walk right now. Finance is that kind of beast. It changes every day. In the world of economics, finance, and money, there's something new every day. So you learn to walk. You learn to walk through the trenches of finance. What's the difference between finance, economics, and money? Finance is global, economics is national, money is personal. When you learn how to navigate and walk through things that go on globally, you better can appreciate how you walk through things that happen nationally. And that's how you protect yourself as you walk through the things that happen personally. You watch your outgo, because that has to do with your income. That's how you prevent your upkeep from being your downfall. More often than not, when we look at the strategies to implement, we forget that we are the common denominator. You are the common denominator to your world of economics, finance, and money. And that's how I pin every article. I set the same example. You're the common denominator. You're the thread to the needle when it comes to economics, finance, and money. So when you start to put you in the equation, and in some instances, you have to take yourself out of the equation in order to make sense of what's happening economically, financially, and monetarily.
That's very true. So you're doing business internationally, and I wanna know, because when I was reading your biography, something caught my eye, and you're doing something extraordinary outside of the United States as well. So, what would you say? What has been the most challenging experience as the hedge fund manager and the owner of a bank license?
The greatest challenge I can say as recently as the storm that took place in the Bahamas last year, the greatest challenge is the climate of economics. The economic climate across the world has had a shift. And that shift that takes place, it has more to do with the volatility. That volatility happens worldwide. unbeknown to many, as long as there's volatility in the market, we're fine. We're fine. As long as the market is going up and down, we'll be okay. You just gotta get started. Gotta start getting afraid when that market starts dropping, keeps dropping. Of course, it's gonna come up, but when? And in the process of when it comes up, then you have to look at the catastrophic events that have taken place in a downward spiral. If there's volatility and the volatility allows a downward spiral, you'll be okay because the volatility will bring it up. But like now, as it's dropping, now we're coming into hurricane season and the market is dropping. Just a week ago, the GDP in America dropped almost a third. That's dangerous. It's dangerous because it's dropping in a time and era where this is not the best. There's a pandemic worldwide. We're coming into hurricane season right now. So you've got a market that's falling down, got a pandemic on top of it, and then you look at the GDP is falling. What's been my challenge has been a market that falls, and it appears that everybody's kind of out for themselves. You know, no one's really coming to the financial table to say, you know what, let's see how we can forge this and at least get ahead of it, because I'm gonna tell you, there's a monster coming, and that beast is coming and he's chewing up as much as he can get, and he's not gonna stop until carnage is everywhere. And that's what we're seeing. So that's been my greatest concern. But I have to say this in the same sense. My greatest excitement has been many individuals are catching on too. So individuals like yourself, they're opening up to individuals to have conversations, from guys and ladies that are just coming out of the woodworks, that have been around for a long time, and now bringing to the forefront information that must be had. Because we continue to depend on those who are in positions of authority. See, those guys and ladies, you know, they're making 6 and 7 figures a year. So they're not hurting like everybody else. So then they don't have a reason to be truthful. But when individuals like myself as an entrepreneur and a business owner, who I'm helping individuals become 6 and 7 figure earners, they depend on me. So I have to be very honest with them, just like I'm honest with everyone else. Because if they fail, I fail. So I can't fail them. So that's what kind of keeps me out of the trenches with what's happening. But that becomes a fright of mine, but then it also becomes a very celebratory moment of mine at the same time.
For sure. So I know that you have one very specific goal, and that goal is to goal of impacting policies and financial education programs.
Yes.
Tell us more about that. What are you doing currently in that field?
Yes, one of those is one of the things we are doing. I partner with a company, FES, which is Financial Educational Services. They specialize in credit restoration. Their whole platform is financial literacy. Their flagship product is credit restoration. The reason I partnered with them is having a license as a bank. I can't promote my bank, but I can promote it to organizations that have membership-driven members. So with that, it helps me to be able to constantly teach individuals about financial literacy, and I don't have to hold anything back. That's one way I do it. The other way I do it is I do a show every day. You know, every Wednesday I cover financial topics. And as things are having it now, it's really coming forward that more and more individuals that are in the financial arena are wanting to share where their places are, share what their experiences are, but at the same time, sharing their levels of expertise. And I'm all for the education portion, because we must be taught. We must be taught, and not only must we be taught, we must have these conversations. 61% to 62% of households in America are not having conversations about financial literacy. We have to change the paradigm. We really do. Because you're talking about, that's creeping up on almost, that's 2/3, you know, that's roughly 2/3 of households that are not having conversations about financial affairs. And because those conversations are going unhad, we're looking at things that are unheard of, and they're happening every day. Homelessness, the unemployment rate. We got almost 40 million people that are unemployed, and the numbers are constantly climbing. So we have to have dialogue like this that we can start to get ahead of the things that are happening in real time.
That's very true. What are the other projects that you are involved? I know that you like to have a variety of fields
Yes.
that you are working, and are you doing any charity works?
Yes, I do. I do a lot of charity work. As a matter of fact, on a very personal note, every year I find kids. I find a group of kids, certain ages. Last year, I was fortunate last year to take advantage of the high school. There was a high school in my hometown, and not far from my hometown anyway. And in that home, and what I did with them was they were starting their football season, and being able to start the football season. What I started to do with them, I told them, I'm going to spend some time with you guys. And what I did was I made a commitment to them, and every month I drove from here to there to Louisiana, spent time with them. And I got them to see that extraordinary starts at an early age. The end result was that group of kids, they all had an issue at the school. The town was just blatantly, overtly covered with meth families. I mean, parents strung out, absentee fathers. So the football team was suffering. Long and short of it, we did it. The end result was the first game of the season. They were beating this team so bad that the other team quit in the third quarter. At the third quarter, they were beating that team, I think, 28-0. Second game, they won a game 37-0. Third game, they won 42-0. Fifth game, they won 39-0. They went undefeated. And they beat every team by more than 7 points. So in that sense, I love giving charity back to kids. On a much larger sense, 4 years ago, my company, my oil and gas company, we supported the country of Belize. We supported and provided all of the educational material for the entire country, for the island. So we make it a point to get involved with the things that matter. And anything that has to do with education, it can be education, finance, that's our passion. We want to be able to not only have impact, but show individuals that we're here and we're here to serve. So that's locally, internationally, and globally.
Beautiful. So what do you think, what the future will bring you, and professionally and also personally? It's a changing times, and that's why I love to ask that question because the answers have been pretty creative, let's say.
What do I see personally? And you say
Personally and professionally, yeah.
Personally, I see. I'm going to retire here in a few years. I'm going to retire. And I literally mean in about 3 more years, I'm done. But what I'm going to spend the rest of my time with is doing children's books. I'm going to spend the rest of my life just writing children's books. And that's because my story is part of that. You know, as a child, I had challenges speaking, you know. So I want children to understand that they have it in them from an early age. Then at the same time, it helps parents to know that individuals are encouraging their children to be the very best that they can be despite all else. Professionally, what I see the change happening is the exchange of where we're going economically in this country, financially in this country, and globally, the exchange of what's happening and how we do business. You know, the whole dynamic as how we used to do business is changing, as you know now. You know, I'd never heard of Zoom until the pandemic, you know, and all of the other social media outlets. The way we're doing business is changing. And what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to be able to change with the change that's taking place. So those are the 2 things that I really see from a personal perspective. That's for me. Professionally, I really believe we now have to start collaborating more, because it's one of those areas that no one really has a monopoly on, because no one has experienced this before. But I do believe this. I believe in countries that have been more deprived, we need to listen to them. And the reason we may want to listen to them is because they've survived tough days, tough centuries, tough years, tough moments. And they can give us some strong insight as to how we can manage it better, just the same.
That's very good answer. I love it. So you who you are watching, if you haven't taken notes, then now is the moment, because Noah is going to share with us his secret sauce of how to dominate the decade. So what are your 3 recommendations how to dominate the decade? And by the way, if you're watching, leave your comment, or if you have any questions below the video. Once the video is premiered, we will answer all the questions, and we would love to hear your comments about it. So thank you very much for joining us. Noah, your 3 recommendations.
My 3 recommendations: 1, dedicate. Dedicate yourself to your purpose and your passion. Number 2, eliminate. Eliminate the poisons from your mind and your environment. And 3, dominate. Dominate every opportunity you have. You dominate by recognizing when you eliminate stuff you do not need, and you start to better eradicate the things and start to invite the things that you need. That's how you dominate. You dominate mentally, emotionally, psychologically, socially, and most of all, you dominate spiritually. And when there's a base that's founded in spiritual principles, your purpose shows up, your passion gets out, and everything happens. There's a victory. You win every time. And even if it seems like you lost the battle, you won the war.
That's wow. Powerful. So if someone wants to contact you, if someone wants to follow you, how can they do so?
Instagram at Noah MacArthur, Facebook, Noah MacArthur, Spotify, same. You can catch me every morning. Every morning I do 6:30, about 6:45 Central to about 8:15 Central. Every morning I do a podcast, and we're in the process of taking those things to some new levels. But in every instance, you can catch me. So and I think the last ingredient you want to definitely partner with. You want to collaborate. You want to collaborate with sources like yourself. Collaborate with individuals that are doing it. They say if you want to get something done, give it to somebody who's busy, because they're busy for a reason. Don't give it to anyone that's not busy, because they're not busy for a reason. I'm just saying.
That's a very good advice, actually, because if you start to think of that, yeah, you are absolutely right. So if what would be the last message that you want people that we're taking the time today to listen to us, and just to take out of this interview, like one thing that they would always remember? Oh yeah, that was the Noah guy from that show.
You are extraordinary. You're truly extraordinary. Every one of us is extraordinary. Marianne Williamson's poem speaks volumes to the world. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It's not the light in us that most frightens us, it's the darkness. And what we need to know is that if we really tapped into the light that's in us, the illumination of extraordinary will shine even brighter through us. Life has a tendency to challenge us to the point to where we cower from the things that we thought we were fearful of, when in actuality, fear is an imagination. It's an imagination that we bring up. And if we really tap into how extraordinary we are, we make fear run from us, because our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure.
Wow, those are very powerful words. Thank you very much. Thank you, Noah, for taking your time, investing in our community. So I'm pretty sure that there were a lot of golden nuggets shared today about the principles that we talk about, all the work which you have done, and also learning from your experiences. And And I think useful information also what's going on today in our economies. No, so thank you very much for doing so. And I want to also thank you that you took the time today to be with us, that you decided to be open, be coachable, and also hopefully you did write things down. If you didn't, go back to this video and do it. Why is it important to write things down? There's a science behind that. Whenever we move our thumb, also our brain moves. So do that, but not only write them down. What you need to do next is to take action. And as Noah opened today with a close that there is absolutely no excuses. So do the same. Take actions on the notes that you wrote down. You wrote them down with a purpose, because otherwise you wouldn't pick them up, because those were the things that were talking to you. So become the hero of your life by taking action, and you can become the hero in someone else's life. How? By sharing this video. Because we never know that when someone needs to hear the story that Noah was giving us, all the principles that we were talking about, and all the golden nuggets which were shared today. I want to thank you. Thank you for being here with us, and I will see you in our next episodes. Have a blissful day.
Thank you, Rebecca.